I have three news stories for you. The US has issued a new statement about upcoming Ethiopian elections. Is the US changing its position about Ethiopian elections? Secondly, the protests which occurred in Mogadishu's Somali capital have taken a new twist. A new video is being shared which claims that the protesters were bribed by Somali opposition parties. Thirdly, I'll have a look at protests in Sudan. Protests have erupted in Sudan. What is the cause of these protests? Let's look at the first news story views. The US seems to be changing its position on upcoming Ethiopian elections. US was calling for postponement of elections. Jeffrey Feltman, US envoy to the Horn of Africa, had delivered a letter written from 5 US senators to National Election Board of Ethiopia. In that letter, US senators had called for reforms and inclusive dialogue and postponement of elections, but we know that elections are due to be held on the 21st of June. Now the US State Department has issued a new statement. This statement shows that the US now wants post-election dialogue. US is not rejecting upcoming elections. Is it a shift in US position on upcoming Ethiopian elections? Let's have a look at the statement issued by US State Department about upcoming Ethiopian elections. State Department says, on June 21, many Ethiopians will be able to cast ballots in elections, an important exercise of their civil and political rights. These elections should not be seen as a singular event, but rather as part of a democratic political process that involves dialogue, cooperation, and compromise. To that end, we urge the government of Ethiopia and all Ethiopians to commit to an inclusive post-election political dialogue to determine a path forward to strengthen the country's democracy and national unity. So viewers, US is calling for post-election political dialogue. US was rejecting, though unofficially, these elections a few days ago. But in the last para of this statement, US has shown reservations about these elections as well. The last paragraph says that the US continues to urge Ethiopia's leaders to support a free media and an active civil society. We urge the government to respect the right of citizens to freedom of expression, peaceful assembly and association, and to reject the use of internet shutdowns or network restrictions. The US is gravely concerned about the environment. This paragraph is important, viewers. The US is gravely concerned about the environment under which these upcoming elections are being held. The detention of opposition politicians, harassment of independent media, partisan activities by local and regional governments, and the many inter-ethnic and inter-communal conflicts across Ethiopia are obstacles to a free and fair electoral process, and whether Ethiopians would perceive them as credible. The exclusion of large segments of the electorate from this contest due to security issues and internal displacements is particularly troubling. The hardening of regional and ethnic divisions in multiple parts of Ethiopia threatens the country's unity and territorial integrity. So US is definitely raising questions about detention of opposition politicians, about freedom of media as well. But at the same time, US is calling for post-election dialogue. So in a way, US has now accepted that on the 21st of June, elections will be held. and US is now approving, I think to some extent, these upcoming elections. It's a shift in US position about Ethiopian elections. Second news story is about Somali soldiers who allegedly fought in Tigray. In yesterday's news bulletin, I informed you protests which were carried out in Mogadishu, capital of Somalia. The protests were carried out by the families of missing Somali soldiers. I showed you a video in which mothers of Somali soldiers were seen chanting slogans against Farmajo, president of Somalia, as their sons are still missing. But viewers, now a new video has surfaced, and this video is being shared by Somali government supporters, and Somali government supporters say that this new video shows protesting mothers taking payment, taking money, taking bribe from some persons, and Somali government supporters say that yesterday's protests were orchestrated by Somali opposition politicians, and one of the protesters, a lady, is working as a maid in an Ethiopian opposition politician's house. Views. I'll show you the video, viewers. I'll show you both the videos, protesting mothers, and then the second video in which you can see some women talking to a man and taking something from him as well.
Aka ninka lacagta u tuuraya aka aragtay lacagta ninka u qaybinayo waaye banaanbaxyadaasha aka saboo imaanaya lacag u tuuraya aragtay aka ya ninka lacagaha u tuuraya aragtay إلهي ما ندي كداري وكا أركتا إلهي ما ندي كداري يا سيدي لكن تبرك عياشة هي العجل الله طوري وكا أكا
It's a very serious issue. There must be some sort of independent investigation into these claims. And families of the missing soldiers, they have lodged a written complaint as well. But politics is once again making this sensitive issue dirty, viewers. Opposition politicians and Somali government must behave in a mature manner. They must order a fact-finding mission to inquire into these allegations. Last news story is about Sudan, viewers. Protests have erupted in several parts of Sudan, in Khartoum, capital of Sudan. In several other parts, we have seen some large protests, viewers. On Tuesday, fuel prices rose in Sudan, viewers, and some subsidies were withdrawn. After that, fuel prices rose from 150 Sudanese pound per dollar per liter to 290 Sudanese pounds per liter. Views. That is why protests erupted in Sudan, and these protests were basically against rising fuel prices. But now it seems that they are turning into anti-government protests. Since the coup in 2019, in which Umar al-Bashir was removed from power by Sudanese military, economic conditions in Sudan have been worsening, viewers. We have seen phenomenal rise in inflation, in unemployment. fuel prices, bread prices have risen as well. That is why people are not happy with the government, which is a combination of Sudanese military and Sudanese politicians. But definitely military is in command in Sudan. Viewers, thank you for watching.